course, again, we're in that suborder, Canifornia now. We've moved away from the other category, and we're now in Canifornia. And here's some of the variety of creatures that exist within Canifornia. So you've got a red panda, you've got a bear, you've got an African wild dog, beautiful maned wolf from Argentina, marine mammals, looks like harbor seal to me, and a sea otter. So quite a variety of animals, even within this superfamily or suborder. The canids, of course, include the wolves, dogs, and foxes. The canids are the dogs, as I mentioned, and they have also, every species has really its own unique social system, but it's often found in the canids that the males, unlike in the felids, the males in the canids often participate actively in raising the cubs. So that's pretty interesting. Most of the canids are adapted for pursuing and chasing down their prey. However, some have very distinctive predatory styles. For example, our native, fabulous, California native gray fox is the only tree-climbing member of the dog family. And they are able to climb trees in order to access bird nests and squirrels and other kinds of prey that are found in trees. So that's a very unique adaptation. That's a local wildlife species that's pretty cool to think about. Another kind of weird variation among the dogs is that the Ethiopian wolves, they wait to pounce, and they actually primarily prey on small rodents emerging from burrows. So another hunting style that's different than what we envision as, you know, a wolf chasing down an elk or something. And dogs have a particularly sensitive hearing. Anybody who's ever been around a dog or knows dogs knows that. And they have a really amazing sense of smell. In fact, their sense of smell is so amazing that we can't even really fathom it. You know, if you imagine something that's 100,000 times better than what we can do, that's a little hard for our human minds to get around. But that's how it is for dogs. So this is what a dog's nose looks like if you get close. And the nose is an amazing olfactory organ, and the dog's is really optimized for that. Often the nose is wet, and that again aids in the chemoreception for the dog. It's able to process wet, moist air more efficiently than dry air. So you'll sometimes see dogs will actually lick their nose in order to moisten it, because again, that helps with the chemical assimilation. So there are a number of canids in California. So we have, of course, the domestic dog that everybody knows. And these have some of the original characteristics from their genetic heritage as wolves. But they are genetically now a different creature than a wolf. They have unique behaviors, and they've actually evolved into their own species, if you will. There's also gray wolves now in California. There's a small group up in Lassen County that's very exciting that they are actually coming back to California. So that is a wonderful thing. However, the gray wolf faces conflicts with ranchers because the ranchers are terrified that they're going to prey on their livestock. But we're hopeful that in California that can be worked out. And some of the conservation projects that Oakland Zoo is supporting are helping to make those reintroduction of the wolves in California go more smoothly with the ranchers. In the past, they did not range in California, but as I said, the slide deck is a little bit old, and that is now updated information is that they're now in California, but only this one real pack in the northeastern part of the state. The red fox is here, but the red fox is sort of fascinating in itself. There is, in the Sierra Nevada mountains, a native population of red fox. But that is the only truly native red fox in California. Most of the red fox that are seen throughout the state in California were actually imported into the state ages ago for both hunting and for the fur trade. And those released out into the ecosystem, or those that have gone feral from those original entities, represent a serious threat also to wildlife in California, because they are not a native predator. And so in our environment, they again pose threats to wildlife species that did not co-evolve with the red fox in their environment. It's also larger than our native fox as well. The native California gray fox is the fabulous tree climber that I mentioned before. It is a a California endemic species, so that's pretty cool to think about us having a species that is so unique among all of the myriad species of dogs in the world. It's also a keen hunter of birds and arboreal rodents, and it's that tree climbing ability enables it to evade larger rival predators such as cougar, bobcats, cougar, coyotes. So that's a great adaptation for getting out of trouble. And then of course we have the coyote, which is an amazingly adaptive carnivore that has proven to be so successful in evolving to live close to human habitation, to take advantage of our garbage, to take advantage of our domestic animals left out, etc. And that is, again, on us. As we behave in the environment that we live, we change the wildlife around us because of the way we do or don't. We do or don't live. So, the domestic dog has that elongated face and nostril cavity, which again is aiding on respiration. Because they are designed to run and hunt, they are processing scent very, very quickly. And their olfactory is thought to be, like I said, 100,000 times greater, at least, than a human's nose. So when your dog is out on a walk, don't cut off their smelling. Don't cut that short. That's what it's all about for the dog. That ability to explore through their nose, that's their primary sense. It's really important for them. They do have strong canine teeth for grasping their prey. And again, they have those carnassial teeth for tearing at what they catch, once they catch it, for shearing it into bits. The dogs do have nails rather than claws on their toes. And that again is to aid in that cursorial, that running lifestyle that the domestic dog was originally designed for. And their social bonds, of course, as you're familiar, are reinforced through their voices, through their body contact. Anybody know a dog who leans on you? Yeah. Wants to be near you all the time? Through smell and through grooming and licking. So I know most people don't like it when dogs jump up on them and lick them in the face, but I actually like it because I know it's a compliment from a dog. So just to show you, just within that one species, the domestic dog, there's a little bit of variety here. The Chihuahua, I think, might be king of this particular area. And then there's the wonderful golden retriever. Now I'm going to turn it over to Dick, who's going to cover the bears. He's from Chicago, so I have to call him the bear.
Oh. Loud enough? Okay. These are the bears. These are our bears, the sun bears. That picture is a little misleading because in the wilderness, bears are solitary. They don't hang out together. In fact, they violate their territories and they get very angry. The bears are from the family Ursidae. I was surprised when I learned there are only 8 species in the world, but their territory is enormous. They start up at the Arctic and go down to the equator. The largest bears are from the most northern spaces, and that includes, of course, the polar bear and the grizzly bear. Whereas bears that are much smaller, like our sun bear, he is down, she is down by the equator in rainforests. Hibernation, for the same reason, is not universal for bears. The large animals living in the north do, but those down by the equator do not. This entity called delayed implantation, so that a cub is born at the ideal time, is found only in the northern bears and not the southern. They're very intelligent, they're very inquisitive. It's fun to watch them here at our habitat, to see them hunting in the morning for the food that was hidden from them. They have to use their olfaction to find their food. Their diet is quite variable depending on where they live in the world. The polar bears live very far north and therefore are carnivorous, eating seals. The grizzly bear, the brown bear, the grizzly bear, the black bear, and the sun bear are omnivorous. They have quite variety in their diet. They may want to eat an elk. They may want to eat a squirrel. They may love salmon out of the streams. And they even love berries, especially in times of drought. So their diet is very omnivorous. Now the panda lives in eastern China. And his diet is, again, very different. He's an herbivore. He eats only bamboo, almost 100%. That has very little nutritional quality, and so he has to eat all day long. Sadly, that means he has 40 bowel movements a day. Now here are two species. One is very intelligent, one is rather stupid. It sounds like you know which is the stupid one.
Wow.
Now let's talk about our bears, our representative in the family Ursidae. They live in the tropical forest of Southeast Asia. They're the smallest of all the bears. The adult weighs approximately 100 pounds. They're extremely intelligent and, like all bears, driven by smell. They're arboreal. They climb trees for sleep and also for nutrition and also for defense from predators. They're pigeon-toed, meaning their toes point inward, and that helps them climb trees, along with the very large claws that we described earlier. They have redundant folds of fur on the back of their neck, like a Shar-Pei dog. That's helpful because if a tiger approaches them from behind and bites them, they can literally turn around inside their skin and bite back. So it helps them a little, but they still don't have good chances for survival. They have a very long tongue. Their tongue can reach into tree hollows and find food for themselves. I will show you a photograph in a moment. I already mentioned that all bears are plantigrade. And I also mentioned they are solitary in the wilderness. The males have large territories. The females' territories are smaller. 3 females may have a territory inside of 1 male. Who's the threat to the sun bear? Number 1 is deforestation for the purpose of the wood, but also for the purpose of developing plantations for palm trees to get palm oil, which is a very lucrative crop or product in this world. It's an extreme problem for these animals. Pet trade. These animals are used in pets. For traditional Chinese medicine, the bile is farmed, and another problem for these animals. These are not our sun bears, but these are sun bears with the characteristic marking on their anterior chest and neck. This is where they get the name sun bear. But if you look closely, it doesn't look like the sun. Quite often it looks like a horseshoe. Also, if you notice, they're all very, very different. So it is easy to identify a sun bear if you can see their markings. Sometimes it's hard to see the markings when they're on all fours and the chin is low. This tells you what special senses this animal has. He has a large nose, a large muzzle, and he has rather small eyes. So you can deduct he lives by smell, not by sight. Here's that folding of the skin that I refer to like a Shar-Pei dog. This is showing you the pigeon-toed forefoot, which helps them in climbing. And this shows you the sole of their foot. There's an absence of hair in the forefoot and the hindfoot, showing you they are plantigrade. Also, you can get an idea of how very large those claws are. And if you remember, they don't retract. This is the tongue I told you about. It's about 10 inches long. It can do many things, and it is prehensile. That means it has the ability to grasp. If you remember in the animal world, many different body parts can be prehensile. For the bear, it's the tongue. back to Cindy.
Okay, the next category is the Ilurid, which is the red panda is the only one in this species, only one in this grouping, sorry. Really gorgeous animals. If you get a chance to see them, they're fabulous. The next category we're going to cover is the procyanids, which is the raccoons, the coatis, and kikajus of the New World. And you will notice that the coati resembles the raccoon a little bit, but there's a few interesting variations if you look particularly at their faces. The coati is primarily a diurnal species, and you'll notice again, similar to the tiger, it has that white glare, and that white marking that bounces some more light into the eye. Now they're diurnal. Why do they need more light during the daytime? Because they're often hunting in wooded environments. So it's dappled light. It's not actually direct sun, even though it's during the daytime. Whereas the raccoon is that evening bandit. He's got that full-on mask so that nothing is going to give away his location. The brown-nosed coatis are particularly amazing animals. They are very adaptive omnivores. So again, right, they're in the order Carnivora, but as a eating habit, they're omnivorous. They range from South America to up to the northern, to the southwestern United States at the northern limit of their range, such as Arizona and New Mexico. They are a cooperative social group for the most part, and primarily that grouping is females, social females sleeping. They'll sleep together. They might forage near each other, but in the wild coyotes don't actually share their food with one another, but they will hunt near each other. And again, as I mentioned, they're diurnal, but they're active in a semi-dark environment, even during the daytime. So underneath cover, generally, like in forests or somehow wooded areas. And they're primarily foraging on the ground, but they do sleep in their trees. There are a number of threats to coatis, habitat loss being, of course, one of them. The pet trade is another threat. And there's this weird, very weird emerging threat, particularly in Asia, but also is affecting coatis as well, called civet coffee. This is a trendy weirdness that I hope is going to evaporate in time, but basically what they're looking for is coffee beans that have been digested by a coati and pooped out. So wouldn't you love a cracking cup of coffee in the morning? That is what civet coffee is. If you don't buy civet coffee, don't fall for it. Here's a great look at the coati. This is, again, a beautiful animal, and they can be very active at times in the zoo, so it's a fun animal to interpret as well. The coati, like the raccoon, is plantigrade, and there you're getting a good look at those digits. More about the coatis. The coatis have that awesome long snout that we showed a moment ago. And the snout is actually flexible, so that's pretty interesting. It's almost like they can wrinkle that snout in different directions. And again, aiding in their sense of smell because they have that, they want to be able to find either prey, small prey, or they want to be able to smell a great resource for such as berries or coffee beans or what have you. They are plantigrade, and that is especially interesting in coatis because the joint at their ankle can reverse. So that when they're descending from a tree, unlike a cat that cannot do this, they can reverse their ankle so that they can actually get a grip on their way down. When a cat gets caught in a tree, oftentimes they don't want to come down because they don't have a way to get a grip on the way down. It's awkward for them, but a coati can actually do that, come down forward, which is pretty cool. And you might see that in the exhibit. There's a lot of climbing ability in that exhibit. Coatis do communicate with their voice, with their scent, their own physical scent, and by leaving signals. They also use their tail to signal their friends. And again, the threats to these guys are habitat loss, the pet trade, and the insane civet coffee stuff. Another look at the coati. Another category, again, we're in the dog family overall, is the methodids, and that is the skunks. So there's, again, two species of skunks. This is the familiar striped skunk that we all know. But in California, we also have spotted skunk. And this animal is one of my favorites because before it sprays you, it does a handstand. So you get one good look before you get a bad whiff. But it's a beautiful, really beautiful animal. Another category is the mustelids, which is the otters, the ferrets, and the badgers. And I'm going to turn it back over to Dick to teach you about the adorable otters.